isobutylene is the main ingredient of chewing gum and the inner tubes of bicycle tires. A British designer has created a chewing gum recycling bin made of recycled chewing gum. Oh, that's interesting. Chocolate in the 16th century was prescribed to treat angina, constipation, dysentery, indigestion, hemorrhoids, flatulence, and gout. I wonder if it worked. An 18th century remedy for headaches was to comb the hair upwards, stroking it with nutmeg and vinegar. 16th century doctors advised growing a beard to ward off illness. 15% of Americans get sick from eating food every year. That raises more questions than answers, like how do you calculate that? Are you doing biopsies on everyone's gut to see what they're eating? That doesn't seem very visible. When Winston Churchill visited the US during Prohibition, he got a doctor's prescription for an unlimited supply of alcohol. Churchill's last words were, "I'm bored with it all." The last king of Egypt stole Winston Churchill's watch. The last emperor of China spent his final years as a street sweeper. 37% of Britons think their jobs are meaningless and don't contribute to the world. 52% of Americans think God is doing a good job. In ancient Egypt, only gods and royalty could eat marshmallows. Pharaoh Ramses III made an offering to the Nile god of 11,990 jars of beans. Pythagoras died because he hated beans and refused to run through a field of them to escape his murderers. Socrates enjoyed dancing. Aristotle had a lisp. Karl Marx spent more than half of his life in England. Thomas Young, the first person to decipher the Rosetta Stone, had read the Bible twice by the age of 4. The Bible has no mention of purgatory. Utah has a prison called Purgatory Correctional Facility. Prisoners in Brazil can have their sentences reduced by kneading. Because Sweden is going cashless, Swedish criminals have been reduced to stealing owls. Australian passion thrushes use their farts like leaf blowers to uncover worms. That's interesting. Giant predatory hammerhead worms from Asia are invading France. At the time of the French Revolution, only half of the population of France spoke French, and only 1 in 8 could speak it well. 1 in 8 young Britons are either bloggers or vloggers. Steve Jobs never learned to code. The documentary Where in the World is Osama bin Laden was found on Osama bin Laden's computer. Brian Eno used Apple Mac to compose the startup music for Windows 95. The dangerous music to play while driving is Wagner's Ride of the Valkyries. At the 1967 South African Grand Prix, the Mexican national anthem couldn't be found, so the organizers played the Mexican hat dance instead. The Czechoslovak national anthem was the Czech national anthem played between two halves of the Slovak national anthem. Chinese citizens hearing their national anthem are advised to stand still but be full of energy. The sun generates more energy in 1 second than has been used during the whole of human history. The center of the sun is 40,000 times hotter than boiling water. The strike of a mantis shrimp is so quick it makes the surrounding water boil. Mantis shrimp can see a type of light that no other animal can, and they use it to send each other secret messages. Kind of want to get in on that. Puffins' beaks glow in the dark. Birds have special feathers that continually disintegrate into powder, making their own feathers waterproof. Rolls-Royce Phantoms have Teflon-coated umbrellas installed in the doors. A new umbrella drone keeps you dry without you having to hold it. A pluviophile is someone who loves rainy days. Malinophrenia is a bad mood caused by a poor night's sleep. I have no idea how to pronounce that. Hexaphobia is the fear of the number 666. A Gamblin is Scots for a pet that decides to go and live with new owners. In 19th century Scotland, to be counted as an island, a piece of land had to have enough pasture to support at least one sheep. Depending on the definition, the number of islands in the world is somewhere between 86,000 and 7 billion. Palmerston Atoll is in the South Pacific, has a population of 60, all of whom speak with Gloucestershire accent. Pheasant Island is owned alternately by France and Spain. Pheasants are more likely to run over than any other birds. Pheasants will stop attacking each other if given spectacles. Scottish football referees are sponsored by Specsavers. I think we read that one on the back. The first advert of Channel 5 was for Chanel number 5. Perfume is bad for your health as car exhaust. Is as bad for your health as car exhaust. Oh, that's interesting. A Californian company has developed a perfume to make cows smell like people so mosquitoes bite them instead of us. Mosquitoes are responsible for half of the deaths in human history. Little fun fact, I am allergic to most mosquitoes. The quinine in tonic water is effective against malaria as long as you drink 300 gin and tonics every day. Yeah, I think you have more health problems if you do that. It's harder to tell how drunk you are if surrounded by drunk people. dozen pubs in the UK that claim to be Britain's oldest pub. That's true. To be arrested by the white sergeant is 17th century slang for a man being hauled out of the tavern by his wife. To stop postmen loitering in houses, they were given smart uniforms. Posting a letter from London to Edinburgh in 1818 cost as much as the average daily wage. Postage was originally paid by the person receiving the letter, not the sender. In 1909, two suffragettes posted themselves to 10 Downing Street to try to get an audience with the Prime Minister. The crowd that greeted Tony Blair when he first entered Downing Street had been buzzed in. The winning tree in the annual competition of the British Christmas Tree Growers Association is displayed outside number 10, and the runner-up goes inside. Artificial Christmas trees are less environmentally friendly than real ones unless you use them for more than 20 years. There is only one person in the UK called Mr. Bubbles. There are 16 people in England with the surname Grinch. It sounds like a fun surname, to be honest. The official names of Scotland's salt-spreading trucks include Sir Anding Flurry, Ready Spready Go, and Greedy Greedy Bang Bang. Pin lorries in Taiwan play music to alert residents to bring out their rubbish. 7% of the land in Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan, is covered in rubbish dumps. There are more than 180 tons of rubbish on the moon. Every time there is a full moon, Sri Lanka has a public holiday. In China, public holidays last a week because it takes so long to travel across the country. 23rd March is a Bolivian public holiday called the Day of the Sea, on which the landlocked country mourns the loss of its coastline in 1893. Aston Martin has developed a luxury submarine. I think that was in the news recently. The Icelandic for the cherry on top is Rushinan e Pausundanum, the resin at the end of the sausage. Ladyboy President Warren Harding's dog not only went to state meetings, he had his own chair. A luxury hotel in Mexico provides each guest with a personalized sewing kit whose threads match the clothes they're wearing. The Bayeux tapestry is not a tapestry. According to the UK Department of Health, the potato is not a vegetable. I think I know that one. I think that's considered worldwide, not only in the UK, but let me know where you live. Is the potato considered a vegetable? Turkmenistan has a public holiday to celebrate melons. The watermelon is the state vegetable of Oklahoma. In the 19th century, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that tomatoes are vegetables. The oldest known mashed potatoes were discovered in Utah and are 10,900 years old. Climate change is causing ancient mummies to turn into black slime. King Ferdinand I of Naples bodies enemies killed, stuffed, mummified, and mounted in their everyday clothes. Clothes are eaten by only 7 of the UK's 2,500 species of moth. There is a caterpillar that cuts coca leaves, that eats coca leaves, and vomits cocaine into its predators. Nematogamba caterpillars hate being shouted at. The shouting bomb, developed by the US in 1957, was designed to lecture the enemy for 3 minutes as it fell from the sky. During the Second World War, Foyle's bookshop bomb-proofed itself by covering the roof with copies of Mein Kampf. Valigore is the strange wistfulness of a second-hand bookshop. Julapakaflot is Iceland's official book buying season, which runs from September to December. Winners of the Diagram Prize for the oddest book title of the year include Living with the Crazy Buttocks and Cooking with Pooh. Barbara Cartland insisted on including the title of every one of her 723 novels in her Who's Who entry. The library at Balmoral is heated by 2-bar electric fire. Every year, 100 American firefighters are arrested for arson. Firefighters used to shout, "Hi, hi, hi," as they run into a fire. Fireman Sam's full name is Samuel Peyton Jones. Postman Pat's full name is Patrick Cleven. A petition to change the name of Belland in the West Midlands was called a bit silly by Stephen Young, 72, of Minge Lane, Worcester. The designer of the Spitfire hated its name, saying it's just the sort of bloody silly name they would choose. Dunkin' Donuts is taking steps to drop the word donuts from its name. Tanax tea cakes aren't allowed in Royal Air Force planes in case they explode. Bumblebees' penises explode when they ejaculate. Okay. 1% of middle-aged honeybees work as undertakers. According to her last wishes, Elizabeth Taylor arrived late for her own funeral. Over 2 million people went to Victor Hugo's funeral, twice the population of Paris at the time. The population of Bangladesh is 114 the size of Russia's crammed into an area and 150 times smaller. In 1926, Poland gave the US a 115th birthday card signed by 20% of the population. Inappropriate behavior on the Queen's official birthday caused a goat that had reached the rank of Lance Corporal in the British Army to be demoted. James Cook's goat was the first known female to have circumnavigated the globe. Goats produce more milk when listening to All I Want for Christmas Is You. The first Glastonbury tickets cost £1 and came with a free bottle of milk. The Vatican uses milk from the Pope's cows to paint its buildings. The Pope has 8 titles and not one of them is the Pope. Pope Formosus died and was buried in Pope Francis has his own 68-page weekly magazine. The person who writes about legal marijuana for Forbes magazine is called Julie Weed. Only 2 land animals survive entirely on seaweed: the North Holland stay sheep and Galapagos marine iguana. Sea urchins wear dead hermit crabs as hats. Straw hats in the US were traditionally worn after September 15th, any earlier, and they would be snatched off your head and stomped on. The earliest reenactments of the American Civil War took place during the American Civil War. During the American Civil War, Ulysses S. Grant got so drunk that he vomited into his horse mane. In 1873, the Spanish city of Cartagena wrote the President Ulysses S. Grant to ask to join the U.S. The world's shortest international bridge connects Spain to Portugal and is 3.2 meters long. To travel between Portuguese towns of Funchal and Monte, you can rent a Top Gun. Supersonic ice is both solid and liquid at the same time. The world's hottest ice cream, which contains peppers 100 times hotter than jalapeno, is called Devil's Breath and is made in Glasgow. The Scottish mountain Bob and Jane penis of the demon is usually translated into English as the Devil's Point. Didivolus is a demon blamed by medieval monks for spelling misetics. I have no idea what that means. And I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing it wrong as well. Male proposis monkeys are more likely to attract a large harem if they have big noses. Your nose looks 30% bigger in a selfie than in a photo taken from 5 meters away. Robotic noses smell more efficiently if filled with fake snot. Saudi Arabia was the first country to grant citizenship to a robot. Senior citizens in New Zealand can join coffin clubs where they meet up once a week to make and decorate their own coffins. Homeless Victorians could pay 4 pence to sleep in an unused coffin for the night. The first meat pies were called coffins. Pie Town, New Mexico got its name when a prospector who had failed to find gold sold dried fruit pies to cowboys instead. Albuquerque, New Mexico has a giant X-ray machine that melts diamonds and makes electricity that moves 20,000 times faster than a bolt of lightning. Lightning produces antimatter. The Earth's largest habitat is the sky. Baltimore has an eye in the sky that continually photographs the city for the police. Some police stations in China use guard keys instead of guard dogs. In 1st century Denmark, rich people were buried with a chicken. The very rich were buried with a goose. Che Guevara was buried without his hands. They were sent to Argentina for fingerprinting. God and Jesus are the only characters in The Simpsons to have 5 fingers on each hand. Ten out of the 12 water was used to smuggle alcohol into the country from Kazakhstan. Kazakh engineers have invented reusable toilet paper. British soldiers in the Second World War had a ratio of 3 sheets of toilet paper a day. US soldiers were allowed 22.5 sheets a day. The penalty for taking an unofficial photo during the First World War was death by firing squad. The penalty for taking an unofficial photo during the First World War was death by firing squad. During the Second World War, Finnish frontline soldiers were provided with saunas. When Peter III of Russia got a rat gnawing one of his toy soldiers, he had it court-martialed and hanged in one miniature gallows. Piglets prefer new toys to ones they've already played with. 4,000 children under the age of 2 are listed as owners of British companies. The average child has the aerobic fitness of a triathlon athlete. Harrods used to sell pet leopards. The first pet cemetery opened in Paris in 1899 after the introduction of a law that banned throwing dead dogs into the Seine. The first Saint Bernard was called Barry. Right-pot dogs are more cheerful than left-pot dogs. It's easier to understand sign language if the signer is right-handed. Scientists had tell whether early humans were left or right-handed by looking at their fossilized teeth. Pangolins have no teeth. They grind food in their stomachs by swallowing small stones. The Magira people of the Solomon Islands use flying fox teeth as currency. Piranhas continually replace a quarter of their teeth at a time. Piranhas bark. There is a train in Japan that barks like a dog to scare a deer off the line. Quacking aspen trees produce their own sunscreen. Pisonia trees lure birds to their death for no good reason. Trees have a very slow pulse, expanding and contracting to pump water around their bodies. Horses have 5 hearts. Each hoof acts as an extra blood pump. People who walk slowly are more likely to die of heart disease. Babies born in October are more likely to live to 100 than those born in March. When a sperm meets an egg and conception takes place, zinc atoms are released and sparks literally fly. A study at the University of Illinois has concluded that sex doesn't sell. Ted Hughes was so attractive that one woman who met him had to rush straight to the bathroom to be physically sick. Who's Ted Hughes? Now I have to Google him. John Wilkes Booth, the man who shot Abraham Lincoln, was dating 5 different women when he himself was shot. A sex pheromone found in male moose urine is named Darcy after Mr. Darcy. Scout is Icelandic for someone who puts their poems in a drawer rather than publishing them. Boogie is Bantu word for the irreversible urge to strip when dancing. Sisu is is Finnish for indomitable courage and persistence in the face of adversity. Uitwaien is Dutch for to take a bracing walk in the wind. Ancient Greek athletes had their spleens removed to help them run faster. The verb run has 645 meanings in English. At the 1932 Olympics, the steeplechase lasted 8.5 laps instead of the usual 7.5 because officials lost track of how many times the runners had been round. In anonymous surveys, half of all athletes admit cheating. The findings of a 2015 study about procrastination were inclusive because half of the participants didn't get around to finish the survey. The Procrastinators Club of America has earmarked 5 September as Be Late for Something Day. Neil Armstrong's application to become an astronaut arrived at NASA a week after the deadline. Neil Armstrong's spacesuit had 21 layers and weighed 36 kilos. NASA is designing a clockwork rover for Venus, the planet so hot it would melt the electronics in a normal one. 3 NASA astronauts have appeared in Star Trek. The first series of Star Trek was made by Lucille Ball's production company. She originally thought it was a show about celebrities on tour. David Bowie first appeared on television aged 17 as the founder of the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Long-Haired Men. Men are half as likely as women to be naturally blonde. Pogonotrophy is the cultivation of a beard. The entire British supply of Jaguar was used up, making false beard for the Hobbit. Peter the Great introduced a beard tax for everyone except clergy and peasants. In 1943, the U.S. banned sliced bread. In 1943, the U.S. banned sliced bread. 20% of sandwich varieties account for 80% of sales. Brown mayonnaise has been Marks and Spencer's best-selling sandwich since 1981. Mrs. Beaton had a recipe for a toast sandwich. I'll do 2 more pages because I'm getting really tired. Beetles have become 20% smaller over the last century. The real-life policeman who inspired Sgt. Pepper didn't like the Beatles. The police in Rome have an undercover squad that stops people jumping in fountains. A waterside restaurant in Perth, Australia hands out water pistols so that diners can repel the seagulls. Australia is slightly whiter than the moon. Australia is an island 20 times the size of Japan, but with a shorter coastline. Kalešnik is a heart-shaped island in Croatia, also known as the Island of Love. The average heart rate in San Francisco rose by